listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Review. It's the Online Sports Guys College Football Podcast featuring us, the Online Sports Guys. You got a three-pack here this week. Last week, there was four. Brother J-Dub was in the house last week.
Back to the milk carton.
Yeah, I was going to say, if form holds, we probably will see him in early September of 2025. We wish him nothing but the best. Interesting week in college football, guys.
That's a word to use.
Yes. I tend to lean toward understatement when describing things, and we might as well just jump right in. Aside from some of the other strange scores in interesting games, the storyline has to start in the state of Florida, where
we're talking FAU.
Two perennial state powers, Florida and Florida State, so far have a combined record of
once great champions. Now a pathetic display of muffishness.
Grand total Florida State of a 1-5 record.
Yeah, we are better off dead at this point.
Oh boy.
Hey,
where do we start?
Silver lining, you're setting a record from being a ranked in the preseason and going 0-3.
Yes.
Well, yeah, if you ask me, that just fortifies my statement that preseason rankings are stupid.
Absolutely.
And it begs the question, is it better to be famous or infamous?
Exactly. That sums it up there in 4 words. I guess we should start in Tallahassee, where the Seminoles have started off 0-3.
Sure.
Really, they haven't been that competitive.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
I'm clearing the runway for John to take off.
It's really hard to explain how.
Not hard. Keep coming.
Losing. The first game, the loss there was a close game. It happens in week 1.
Scotland, yeah, and Ireland, yeah.
But then losing to Boston College, who granted is a much improved Boston College team.
Because you have a dual threat quarterback from Ware County High School that you recorded as a singular position. Carry on.
But how does Mike Norvell, or for that matter, anybody in Tallahassee, explain losing to Memphis at home? Particularly if you considered yourself a contender for your conference championship.
I'm getting walked by Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
John, ready, go.
Well, first off, you're still getting pounded on both lines of scrimmage. The lines that you have, and it's a topic that we'll discuss later on about what's going on in Boulder, because it's somewhat similar between, at the line of scrimmage, not in other places, but at the line of scrimmage. You're constantly being beat at the line of scrimmage. Second, what did we discuss last week about your game planning for DJ Uiagalelei? Make him beat you. It's not hard. When you have a 4-word game plan, make DJU beat you. Literally, that is it. That is the game plan that you need going up against Florida State. The running game, once again, as we discuss, if you're going to have DJU beat you, that in turn means that the running game is supposed to help you. It, in fact, did not. Once again, it goes back to line play. Everything is somewhat circular in all of its discussions here. But if you lay things out in its most simplest form, where you end up with a quarterback that you are trying to make sure beats you, 7 in the box, make him run to his left and have to throw against his body as a right-handed quarterback. Because you could see defensively, 6 in the box, 7 in the box, rush from the 9, come around the right tackle, force DJU to his left, and then that means he's throwing against his body to try to complete a pass. Finishes the day, and this is because of the 9 points you scored in the second half. 9. 16 to 30 for 201. 30 attempts passing, 201 yards, which means your average per attempt is 6.7 yards. You had a QBR of 33.6. Last time I checked, that's not good.
That's Cleveland Browns bad.
Yeah.
The-
Dramatically outplayed by Memphis quarterback Seth Hennigan, who went 25 for 38, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception.
which in turn means your running game, which is supposed to be there as something to keep defenses away from your quarterback and keeping them honest. Once again, 24 carries, 37 net yards. 37 net yards. Lawrence Toafili again leads your team in rushing for having 30-something yards. 30-something yards rushing. 37 last week. 30 net this week. His longest run of the day was 24 yards. Let's do a little basic math here. So if you have 30 net yards rushing as an individual on 4 carries, subtract 24 from that 30. Marty, what do we have?
I believe I got a poop emoji when I hit enter.
That is true. But in the true mathematical equation outside of a poop emoji, how many yards?
3 carries for 6 yards.
Correct.
1 carry for 24.
Correct. So when you have total 24 carries, 37 yards, 24 of that coming on 1 carry, that gives you 23 carries, net 13 yards rushing. Tell me how you're supposed to beat folks offensively when the game plan's simple. We already went over those 4 words, and your running game only had 13 yards net rushing.
Defensive touchdowns?
It would have to be at this point.
Yeah, I want somebody to explain to me what the fascination is with DJU, because he's on his 3rd school. He's
You know, when he goes to the locker room on Monday, there's going to be transfer portal paperwork already filled out for him.
he hasn't exactly set the world on fire anywhere he's been.
Go play baseball, young man. That is where you are going to make your fortune.
And I'm sure he's a nice kid. I'm sure he
Absolutely
does all the good things that a college football player should do to make himself part of the team and the community. But he's not a good quarterback.
Portaling yields 2 things here. The state that we are right now, portaling yields 2 things. It yields disgruntled athletes who are unhappy with their situation, or an individual who, if you're disgruntled, you either because you think you're starting and you shouldn't, or because you feel you are in a situation that does not best fit you, so you feel like you have to go someplace else, regardless of the results that you're putting out there on the field. And
you left out number 3. They want to get paid.
well, yeah, in the idea that someone is going to come after you with a paycheck in an NIL situation and go, hey, come on over here. You know, consequences and circumstances be damned. Come on over here and hang out with us. 2 years at Clemson apparently didn't turn folks at Oregon State away from DJ Uiagalelei. 3 years at Clemson and Oregon State didn't turn folks in Tallahassee away from trying to chase after a quarterback when you already had several on campus that I personally feel would have fixed your situation. See Kromenhoek, Luke as your prime example. It is a very, very easy team to defend. It is a very, very easy team to get yards against. And when you're Seth Hennigan and you can throw for 2 and 1, you don't really need a running game per se. You did get 65 net yards on the day, but when you throw for 272 and you end up with an early turnover that you should have converted into a touchdown instead of just a field goal, but you get those early points on the board off a turnover on the opening kickoff where you have somebody force a fumble, you're creating a lot of it self-inflicted early on, and you're having to fight from a deficit. But when you're easy to defend against, both it's so simple that these teams can game plan against DJU and Florida State right now. Mike Norvell, way to go, piece of history. There are 3 times now in the history of the program where a team has started out 0-3, outside of the history that Marty talked about. Bobby Bowden's first year, Mike Norvell's second year, and this year. So we have Mike Norvell, Bobby Bowden's first year as a coach in that program. 3 times that the program has started out 0-3. 2 of those are with Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell has a $6 million buyout. Yeah, okay, great, cool, fine. I'm sure you could find it considering that you're spending $265 million on a 3-stage renovation of your football stadium right now, where you're making all kinds of boxes and seats and having less seats and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you could find the $6 million if you wanted it. I don't know. The situation in Tallahassee is just as untenable as it is right now in Gainesville. I think that Mike Norvell has lost the locker room. I know that Billy Napier has lost the locker room. All you have to do is look at Instagram.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a race to see who might be fired first, because as bad as it's been in Tallahassee,
Oh, the master of the transition. There he goes.
arguably it may actually be a little bit worse in Gainesville.
Oh, I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot worse in Gainesville. Please proceed.
While the Florida Gators have won a game this year, it was against Fred G. Samford
And Sons.
Hey, Rollo's underrated.
Correct.
They just look overmatched. When's the last time you looked up at a halftime score in Gainesville in the Swamp and see Florida down 20-0?
Probably when they played another in-state team or someone of a higher repute, perhaps in, say, Athens or Tuscaloosa.
And you want to talk about quarterbacks who probably are not ready for prime time. For some reason, Billy Napier keeps going back to Graham Mertz, who proved at Wisconsin he wasn't that good of a quarterback. Comes to Florida, and he really hasn't done anything to distinguish himself. In the meantime, they've got one of the top 5 recruits in the country, DJ Lagway, sitting on the bench, getting a little bit of playing time this week against Texas A&M.
He'll get more.
And the Gators just got gotten by Texas A&M, who started a quarterback who had never started a college football game before, Marcel Reed.
So when Florida and Florida State play, should they have like a high stakes bet where the loser has to take the winning team's coach?
I think that it's probably going to end up being a game that will go like 9 overtimes and people will fall asleep and
will both coaches still be there at that point, though?
Yeah,
no.
A battle of interim coaches at that point.
No, it will be a battle of substitute teachers. That's my gut.
I mean, you look at the statistics here, and between Lagway and Mertz, they went 18 for 29, 249, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions.
Well, Lagway should be your starter, and I know that, but right now Graham Mertz threw for one of those 3 picks. I get it, and he was 12 of 15 for 195. But if you ain't moving the scoreboard and flipping digits, it was 20-0 at the half. That's how bad this game was. If you were in Gainesville, and I'm sorry that you were in the first place, but if you were in Gainesville to watch a football game, it was 22-0 ATM at the break.
Oh, I happened to be at a sports bar for dinner last Saturday night.
Sorry.
And look, this was one of the games on the TV, and when they cut to a stadium shot, a full shot of the Swamp looked pretty not so full.
Well, it was the same. It was the same at Doak Campbell, but the production crew for that particular game involving the ACC kept tight shots, nothing but tight shots. You didn't see anything past like the 13th or 14th row in the lower deck.
And all crowd shouts were very, very tight of like 2 people.
Correct.
We got the new fascinating toy thing, the drone shot.
Whoa.
Over Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, and that wide shot showed it. It looked like a spring game when it comes to a crowd.
It wasn't pretty.
No.
Darn the luck.
No. And the question being, and I guess this applies to Florida State as well.
Yeah.
How bare is the cupboard?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily bare. I think that the decisions made on who is in positions of authority on the field are incorrect. If that makes any sense. I think the wrong people are playing. If I'm saying it. I think that in Gainesville, it needs to be DJ Lagway. I think in Tallahassee, it needs to be Luke Kromenhoek. So it's not who is playing, it's who isn't playing.
Yeah.
And I think that, and in Florida, and in Gainesville, like I said, I think in Gainesville, I think you've lost the locker room. And the longer that Billy Napier, who is a fantastic human being, know the family, know the coaching tree, fantastic human being. But the support or lack of support that he has gotten in Gainesville and the folks that are playing in Gainesville right now are not the right folks. And you see the results on the field. And when you have 18 to 22-year-olds who are disinterested in doing something for an adult, 10 times out of 9, that attitude is not going to improve until the adult that is telling them what to do as an 18 to 22-year-old changes. And for the betterment of these programs, Florida being Florida and wanting to be Florida, and the economic and athletic reasons that are in play in Tallahassee. I mentioned the renovation, the 9-figure renovations that are going on with the athletic complex in Doak Campbell Stadium. You've got to make decisions to put people in seats. This is economics. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. And right now, it is bad business in Gainesville. It is bad business in Tallahassee.
Guys, we got to move on here.
No, we don't. But yeah, we do.
We do. We've got a lot to talk about because there's some really interesting games here. And I didn't see this until just a second ago when I was doing my pregame prep. I missed it completely.
Oh.
I did not realize that on Thursday night, South Alabama dropped 87 points on Northwestern State.
Yeah.
Not Alabama and Northwestern. South Alabama and Northwestern State.
Yeah, the Demons. South Alabama put 80 of the 87 on the board in 3 quarters. I look at Northwestern State, and I'm twofold here. And we talked about this in week number 1, where you have teams, and these were SEC teams, that were putting up tremendous numbers on non-FBS opponents. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm getting older, Marty, but I'm to the point to where I'm like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Look, we saw it with Ole Miss putting 76 on the board. I saw it with Auburn against Alabama A&M putting 73 on the board or whatever the hell.
Tennessee did it to Kent State this week, putting up 56 points in the first half.
And why are you onside kicking in the first quarter up 30?
Yeah, that's just
that was the biggest of dick moves.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, though, the rest of the MAC has been giving people games.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. I'm going to jump around. I might jump over a couple things that I initially said we were going to do in the rundown because I have to mention it now that you brought up the MAC.
Jump up, and get down.
Woohoo! Because we got some MAC action. Mississippi State.
That's Maction, sure.
Maxton. That's Maction.
Maction.
Maction, sir.
Toledo moves to 3-0 after going down to Oxford, Mississippi, and hammering Mississippi State 41-17.
That's Stark
in their own house.
That's Stark Vegas, sir. That's not Oxford. Don't get the two confused.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
People will get mad at you.
Yes, in the cowbell capital of the world.
Clanger.
And it arguably the 41-17 score really wasn't even that close.
I cackled. I cackled.
Mississippi State did put up some numbers, but
they didn't put up a fight.
But they just got beaten pretty much every facet of the game by a clearly better Toledo team.
Darn.
Toledo's just been steady last few years. They've got some talent over there.
Tucker Gleason. 23-28 for 285 and 3. QBR slightly higher than DJU's at a 94.8.
Well, there's a left-handed compliment.
Just a little bit.
I'm the skinniest kid at fat camp.
Well, and Tucker Gleason actually was the second highest rusher on the day for your Rockets. getting another 40 yards. They had 169 yards on the ground against Mississippi State.
Yeah, it's going to be
Balanced attack for a team that's now 3-0.
I'm sure their Twitter's pretty calm this morning.
Oh, well, let's take a peek. Well, let's take a peek.
No,
shall we?
don't.
it's
You're
going to
gonna
be
see you're gonna see Eddie Murphy words there.
it's going to be a long fall in Stark Vegas. Long fall.
Long fall.
Moving on to some other games that were surprising to say the least. I watched a little bit of this game last night. Georgia did beat Kentucky, but they struggled.
Yeah, Lexington is a place
Yeah,
where
I watched that one.
yeah.
Not that punt. Jesus.
It,
You're a Stoops, man. You should know better.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what do you have to lose, really, if you're Kentucky going for 4th and 8 on your own 49? Late in the game.
Nothing.
Sure, your defense is
Darn thing.
what their defense played really well. UGA had about as vanilla of a game plan as you could possibly have. And Georgia, the Georgia team for the last 3 or 4 years does this at least once every season.
Yeah. Well,
This was the scariest version they've ever had of playing with your food, though.
Oh, I don't know about that. They were down to Missouri, a bad Missouri team a few years ago, further than this, and came back and won due to a fourth quarter, scoring a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
So then let me posit a possible theorem to the floor here, and we will call it the Kirby Smart theorem of college football.
Does this involve telling people to stop driving fast?
No, it does not, especially on wet roads.
Yeah, particularly since they had yet another incident of a player, in this case, Daniel Harris,
Yes.
driving 106 miles an hour through downtown Athens this
Wet road.
this week, getting pulled over and arrested.
Uh-huh.
Yet he still made the trip. Didn't play, but he made the trip, suited up, and everything else.
Oh, there has been no resolution of the court case, and so it is innocent until proven guilty. Let me posit a theorem here involving college football and teams that will be making, in their own minds, deep runs into the new college football tournament. Is there or is there not, when you have an opportunity, we always come across those relationships where you have someone say, I need to work on me. It's not me. It's not you. It's me. I need to work on me. Traditionally, there's that one time a year where, Phil, to your point, you have said that Georgia has that game in quotation marks. It is where they seem to work on themselves. The score line does not matter. The juice box line does not matter to Kirby Smart one iota. He could give a rat's you know what about what a spread is.
Yeah, but it's exactly what Marty just said. They're playing with their food.
Yeah, and so what you do is you test yourself, you test your players for situations on the road later on in the year, see Texas, where if you are presented with an opportunity, if you are presented with hardship, how do you handle yourself? How much of this is problem solving presented by a coaching staff that has a deep expectation for itself for a possible situation later? Okay, if you're in a jam, we know that we are better than this team. We know that we will flip that switch. We know that we will win. We will not cover. We do not care. If the spread in Vegas is like shingles to Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart doesn't care. How much of this is playing with your food to come up with a solution in a problem-solving situation later on in the year? Or is it just something where we sit there and we go, oh, Kentucky played great, Kentucky played great. How much of this is playing with your food with a purpose?
I think it's a little bit of both. I will give the Wildcats credit. They came out, they played hard. They were super physical up front.
That's awesome.
They gave Georgia's offensive line something to think about.
Right.
The game plan, yeah, it was about as flat could be. They never threw the ball, or they didn't throw the ball downfield until later in the game.
Because they needed to, and they had to at that point. You get to a position where you're problem solving. Okay, now we will turn that particular part of the playbook on so we can win.
And the that margin of error was not very big.
Now, Lexington is traditionally a place where Georgia win streaks go to die, except, if you're like Rex Robinson or something like that. That's your Google search for today, kids.
It is a nice stadium, though. I like the stadium.
Yes, Commonwealth is a very, very pretty place.
Mm-hmm. Few other interesting games here. Before we get into some of the blowouts, Missouri and Boston College was a much better game than you would have thought of before the season started.
Thomas Castellanos again. And I know that, and so what I guess I will do is I will stick up for the ACC here since our brother Wilkie is not here. One of the better teams evolving in the ACC in front of our very eyes seems to be the Thomas Castellanos dual threat quarterback from Ware County High School led Boston College Eagles.
Solid
And
coaching.
maybe
And Florida State continues to be 17th in a 17-team conference.
yeah, Boston College is beginning to rise, and it might say that Bill O'Brien maybe isn't that horrible of a coach.
That horrible of a college coach. He is treating the BC program like a pro program. He has brought in professional experience, brought in NFL experienced coaches to be a part of this staff. So not necessarily a surprise that they are doing better because of the experience that O'Brien was allowed to bring in for this staff at BC. It's not just college coaches. It's NFL coaches, professional coaches with that experience, taking it down to the college level because, once again, those margins are closing. And so you bring in pro-level experienced coaches to coach up college athletes. You end up with what you're seeing right now, at least first time through the batting order at BC.
Another close game involving a ranked team. LSU makes the trip to another difficult place to play, Williams-Brice Stadium in South Carolina. It took a late fourth quarter touchdown for the Bayou Bengals to come up with a win, but they did beat South Carolina 36-33 in what ended up being a pretty damn exciting game.
I didn't see that coming at all.
No. Did not.
South Carolina got the jump on them. They were up 24-16 at the half.
Yeah.
Some mistakes by the LSU, some sloppy play.
And how was the penalty on the pick? How was on the interception that Doug Nussmeier Jr. threw late? How was that a penalty? How was that a penalty? I mean, Doug Nussmeier, absolutely. He got plowed. He got absolutely just laid out, and it honestly looked like someone had killed him. And so you get a flag thrown, and it ends up, instead of it being a pick six the other way, it ends up being 1st and 10 at your own 10-yard line and having to work the length of the field.
And quite honestly, if had Alex Herrera made that 49-yard field goal at the buzzer, they may still have been playing the game as we record this show.
Oh, man. I mean, and he had the distance, and he just pulled it just a little bit. Man. Feel for the kid. Absolutely.
Yep, I think to speak in Twitter X speak here, I think that's a game that might be 3.5 out of 5 angry Brian Kelly faces.
Go yell at a kicker.
It's right at that point where you're not sure if he's angry or sunburned. It's right on that edge.
Or if it's a work.
Bobby the Brain Heenan red.
Yes. Yes, absolutely true.
Oh. You can talk about my favorite team to make fun of?
Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about your favorite team to make fun of. They struggled again. They did beat Arkansas State, but not by much.
Okay. Yeah. Here's my favorite stat from that. Their Michigan starting quarterback was 11 of 14, yet every single one of his passes was caught.
Yeah. Hence the 3 interceptions.
0 incompletions for the man. So give him that.
It took me a second. I'm like, yes.
11 to his team, 3 to the other.
But I will say that the Arkansas State push in the fourth quarter really did help out a lot of folks, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. How'd you do? That the late touchdown, especially by Arkansas State. really helped out a lot of people who were watching this game. If you know what I'm saying.
Yes, we do.
Juice boxes, yeah.
Lots of those.
Got them tucked in right in the. I believe this is what is referred to as wandering into the backyard, and there's a door at the rear of the establishment that is in the middle of said backyard, and you were to open that door and go wandering into the house. I believe, and there perhaps might be an awning involved. Helped out a lot of folks with that late touchdown.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to do at quarterback. They have, their second string guy they bring in as change of pace. They don't let him throw.
I don't think they know what they're going to do quarterback.
Oh, well, darn.
Time to take your bowl ban early.
Yeah, I think at this point you may be talking about a mid-level Big Ten team.
Darn. Yeah, for sure.
Darn.
I can't wait to see that USC game.
Yeah, which is coming up, and we'll talk about that in the second half of the show when we go preview week number 4 in the college.
That's my Hate Watch special of the week.
Oh, man. See, that ought to be sponsored. That ought to be sponsored.
We can talk briefly about a few blowouts here. Texas 56, UT San Antonio 7. That's not the storyline of this game. The storyline of the game is Quinn Ewers getting injured in the second quarter, and the first long-term appearance of the man, the myth, the legend, Arch Manning.
How about the first Manny running the ball?
Well, I mean, like he ran it like his grandfather.
Yes.
So namesake to namesake, he ran it like his grandfather. And
you're saying the wheels skip a generation?
Yes, they absolutely.
Yes, in this case, maybe 2, but what we digress.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, so the Quinn Ewers goes into the tent in full football uniform, comes out wearing shorts, and apparently it is something to do with rib muscles and having to turn, flex, and extend without pain. So we will see how long the deputy is on the shelf, and the substitute with the better hair works there in Austin.
Is Dr. Pepper starting to turn into Madden?
Yes. I didn't say that out loud.
We don't have any commercials from them, but
no.
One team from the state of Florida doing pretty well this season, the Miami Hurricanes, off to a 3-0 start. They take down Ball State without much competition.
It was Ball State.
62, 5 TD passes for Cam Ward.
Running his program in Florida.
Yeah, really.
Not much else really to say there.
Briefly
about Tennessee, what they did to Kent State. That was not really fair.
Everybody does that to Kent State, though.
Yeah. Got to talk about this. It's kind of a local game near and dear to the hearts of those of us here in OSG Sports Southeast.
Right.
Georgia State gets their first win over an SEC team. They beat Vanderbilt 37-32 thanks to a late touchdown.
Wow.
See what you just said about Kent State.
Yeah, well, but I mean, Vandy, our resident most underrated quarterback, Diego Pavia, orchestrates a 22-point fourth quarter. Took a little while for Vandy to kind of get the engine turned over in that game. 22-point fourth quarter to take a 32-29 lead with about 1:15 to go. And then Georgia State, under new head coach Del McGee. Christian Veilleux, by the way, 269, 3-1 on the afternoon. And I still maintain, and the boss is still incredibly afraid of playing Vanderbilt later in the year for multiple reasons, mind you.
Yeah, and that's a legitimate fear that should be addressed.
But because of what Diego Pavia did last year at New Mexico State, and then in turn now being at Vanderbilt, the boss is not happy that kind of imagination, who, by the way, if Diego Pavia goes to Canada and plays in the Canadian Football League, he will be a pain in the ass.
He'll be a star
as a quarterback. But, I mean, you got to give him credit for getting off the mat, and then you got to give equal credit for Del McGee and that group to come down the field and get the game-winning score. So well done by them, and I know that Your Georgia Southern Eagles also got a win, by the way. And UCF is also 3-0. So they are one of the most successful teams at this point of the season in the state of Florida.
Yes, my Eagles beat South Carolina State 42-10 in a good warm-up game. Next week, they probably will not be quite as successful. Guys, what do you say we wrap it up? In the first half of the show, we talked about a bunch of college football, and we come back in the second half of the show. We got to talk about the growth of the two-pack, because the two-pack is going to
stealing people. They're stealing people. Go ahead and say it.
I'm not dead yet.
Before our eyes and become a legitimate conference yet again. Plus, we preview week number 4, and we have everybody's favorite segment, college football on a budget. All that and more. We return for the second half of the review. You're listening to the review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe.
Over here in the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. FOOTBALL. College football version here with the college football review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with 2 O's, but football with a U, FUTBOL, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports. Do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Thanks for sticking around, folks. You have made it to the second half of the show. In this second half, we got to talk about, before we get to our preview segment and college football on a budget, we got to talk about what happened to the conference that we kind of made a little bit of fun of here over the last several weeks, maybe. The remnants of the Pac-12 are growing stronger because they're going to go from
I don't want to know about your remnants growing, sir.
I think I can.
They're going to grow from being a 2-team conference to being an 8-team conference in just 2 years, as they have rated.
Are you saying they're a grower, not a shower?
Yes, they are. They have announced that they will be adding teams, mostly from the Mountain West.
Now you know why the football playing agreement was only for 1 year against the Mountain West schools. Yeah, we're coming for yours.
Yeah, we're taking your team.
You're going to overcharge us on this. Okay. Well, I won't come back on you.
Yeah, whatever. The Pac-2 will become the Pac-8 in the 2026 season, guys.
Allegedly.
Oh, there's still some weeks to go between this season and next.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. But is it going to be the same product that we got just a few years ago?
Oh, child, please. I believe the answer to that is no. But what I'm also hearing, the biggest thing is you're trying to get to 8 schools. And that way that gets you back in the discussion to get into the Sadie Hawkins dance at the end of the year. You're trying to get to 8. And you're at 6 and you're trying to add some more. What I'm hearing is Montana. What I'm hearing, and this is what you're doing, is you're trying.
Where are you hearing that?
A lot of the Division I AA gripe boards and things like that. And the thing is that with the Mountain West schools right now, those Mountain West schools that you would be courting are going to have to try and pay 9 figures to the left of the decimal place back to the Mountain West. And that would mean that the Tupac would probably be financially responsible for some of that.
They do have a war chest.
Yeah, so you're trying to figure out, okay, we're going to be paying an ish ton of money to bring these first round of clubs in. If we go other places and try to encourage, which I hope they don't, because it'll be that much more difficult, and then we will.
Because what I've read, they're looking to hit the AC.
If you go after the Western clubs in the AC, and maybe you raid the UAC or something like that to try to get some weak sisters in there, like I said, you're trying to get to 8. I don't think that these names that are mentioned out of FCS are going to want to go, because why? You're a power. That's the question, and this is the question that faced a lot of schools in the first round of galactic realignment, and I'm talking like 15, 20 years ago. Do you want to be a big dog in 1AA? Do you want to make the jump to Division I and be?
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, but with the other teams in that conference, you give somebody like North Dakota State 20 more scholarships, or actually possibly 50 more scholarships if we go over 100.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they're going to do with that?
Why would the teams trying to rebuild the Pac-12 even go there? They don't need to.
They need to get something to get to 8.
Mm-hmm. They got something to get to 8.
There are other fish in the sea.
But you end up with the less expensive fish. You're going after the tetras.
You got a fish that'll pay the bill. You give North Dakota State a chance to jump up like that and then be a winnable program in that.
Fishing for a 1AA team because
they'll pay their own bill. When you can
try to poach UNLV.
That's what you need to do.
But North Dakota State's going to have to pay off the Missouri Valley Conference, which I think is on the right side under millions of dollars.
Yes.
If you want to be a legitimate top level conference, why would you hit them when UNLV's out there, when North Texas is out there?
Okay, North Texas is below North Dakota State. Nobody goes to their games. I live there. I used to work there. The apathy that's on that campus is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
They're not bringing anything. Nobody knows how to watch them anywhere. I mean, that'd be great for North Texas, and there's a lot of good people working there, and they would definitely benefit from getting on TV, but for 6 years, they've been on ESPN plus, on the Ocho.
Yes.
They're not going to bring a TV market. Nobody watches them. Nobody goes.
Phil, the point that we're making, we're not denying that you need to bring in a UNLV for the new version of the Tupac. We're not denying that. We're just talking about those other schools that you need to bring in and or consider to get to 8, to get to north of 8, because you're always going to need folks that might have a drawing card in addition to those no-brainers that you want to bring in to revitalize your group. And if you can raid 1AA to do it, even though the biggest question is, would these schools want to make the jump and be middle-of-the-road teams in FBS or still rule the roost in FCS? That would be their main conscience question that they would have to do. Not denying that you've got to grab a UNLV because of what Barry Odom is doing. You've got to grab them now.
You have to maintain your reservation.
Right. So you've got to figure out, okay, who else do we have in our thought pattern that we can sit there and say, yeah, we'd like to have you guys as a part of this new conference that we're building. And hey, wouldn't it be great, and you put your arm around them and sit there and you go, yeah, wouldn't it be great to kind of be a part of something new here in FBS? And it's up to those FCSers to sit there and say, nah, I'm cool where I am. Or, yeah, that'd be great. We're looking to make that next jump. We're talking about the field fillers. We're talking about cars 30 through 37 in NASCAR for most of the week. That's what we're talking about. Not denying those that are in the chase, but 30 through 37.
Which is fine if you're looking to build out Conference USA, which is fine if you're looking to build out the Sun Belt, but not if you're the Pac-12.
I think we're back to beggars and choosers.
Yeah.
But at this point, even in the situation
you got a year, or else you're not a conference anymore.
Yeah.
We know that South Dakota State and North Dakota State and those teams are good football programs, but they have zero name recognition.
Oh boy, I'm gonna use my first timeout and go, whoa, Cowboy. I'm gonna defer to our resident Division One AA.
I was gonna say they gave Colorado a hard time, and they did the same thing last year with when they played up.
At the end of the day, they don't
They
bring.
also had College Game Day.
They bring 0 eyeballs to the table.
Wow.
Oh no, they're gonna bring underdog viewers.
Oh boy.
It's the exact opposite of people watching Colorado. They're like, I want to cheer for the little team that doesn't have all, a bunch of millionaire alumni.
On a national scale, they're not there.
Woo.
No, but who is? And who's going to go there?
That's the point. It's like
That is a feel good story, and that's what everybody wants.
I'm willing to bet a pizza that if they are able to raid some more schools, it's going to be some combination of UNLV
as you should.
and other teams currently in Division One.
I look, like I
True,
said,
but I want to know if I'm going to switch conferences. I want to know they're going to remain a conference and get over 8.
mm-hmm.
And until they're over that, they're going to have a hard time. It's an uphill battle.
They're going to go for any team that is willing to play ball in a market where there are TV eyeballs.
But okay. See, but now you've opened up another door.
Yeah, okay, UNT. You go after UNT, and you got the Dallas market. In theory, how many people have watched UNT on television?
I'd love to know those plus numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I really would like.
They actually had a game on normal over-the-air television against Texas Tech, and they got the ever-living crap kicked out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was a 60-point spread on that game yesterday against Tech.
Okay. Oh, that was the FS1
It
game?
puts you in the market. It doesn't put you on. It doesn't bring you eyeballs. You have the possibility. We're on YouTube. We have the possibility to getting to the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Do we?
Our audience probably rivaled the UNT game yesterday.
Correct.
And I think that's Marty's larger point here. Like I said, not denying that to get as close to 8 as possible, you need to get a UNLV. You need to get into these markets. You need to raid other conferences as a part of galactic realignment. We know this is the case. But if you got folks that are sitting there and going, not so sure, you're going to be knocking on FCS doors. And if you're going to knock on FCS doors, you're knocking on the door in Brookings, South Dakota. You're knocking on the door in Fargo, North Dakota. You're knocking on the door in Missoula, Montana. And if you can get any combination of those folks to jump, first off, it's the death knell of the Missouri Valley Conference as a 1AA conference because of all of the weight that gets shifted. But I'm intrigued. I want to see how you get
Makes me happy as a Youngstown State fan.
Yeah, it opens the door for you most certainly when it comes to your postseason. But I want to know how close you get to 8, how ambitious you get past 8, and where else you think you need to go, and who else would be interested in being a part of the new Tupac.
Yeah, I think once they hit 8, the floodgates will open for them.
Yeah.
I'll say one last thing about this before we move on to previewing the upcoming week's games.
No.
Seeing those teams make the jump to fill the gap in the Mountain West makes perfect sense to me.
It holds their place, and then they can get their act together, get their financing together, get their buyout plan or whatever they need to do to make it possible. But once they get that 8, it's gravy after that.
Making that move to seeing the Dakotas or Montana jump to the Mountain West, that makes sense. But seeing them trying to jump to a rebuilt Pac-12, not there. Not seeing it.
It's galactic realignment. Who thought UCF would be in a conference that involves the Big 12?
UCF's a bigger program.
All right. Football on a budget. Previews, hit it.
All right. We move on to looking ahead for week number 4, where there are a few better matchups than we've had over the last couple of weeks, but still not a ton of great ones. We'll start with Marty's favorite team, the Michigan Wolverines, who host USC in arguably what could be classified as the game of the week. Because if Michigan loses here, they may be done.
So you're saying they're done?
It's at the top of my hate watch.
What
are those going for, by the way?
Oh,
start the low. you can get in the door for $83.
That's not bad. I still would have liked to have gone to the Ark State game where you could have gotten in for 4.
Yeah.
That they were still full. I'll give them that. But I mean, they basically emptied out of the local WalMarts, which is where most of their fans
I don't
reside.
want to speak, and I don't want to speak for you, Marty, but to be able to say that you actually got to walk in enemy territory, it would have been
I've done it. I've been there.
That's the game I think is going to be the most interest, at least to me, looking down the board. I think USC wins this game. They're both teams are rebuilding a little bit, but I think USC is considerably further along in that rebuild.
I gotta admit, USC is way ahead of schedule than I expected.
Your thoughts, John?
Don't care.
Okay.
I think Michigan's done. I really do. And the fact that Michigan is right now, as we were talking, still a top 20 ranked team.
How?
Name recognition alone.
It's the name recognition. You walked into Sharper Image and you saw the fancy vibrating chair and you're like, ooh. No, USC.
The Misfits are a band?
Yeah, it's the same reason that Florida State was in the top 10 before the season started.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. I appreciate that.
The man while he's down.
Yeah, USC should take care of business. Michigan will be bumped out of the top 20, and we'll go on to week number 5, and we'll sit there and stare at Michigan and go, ¿Por qué?
We may get a new Sharon Moore crying meme too out of this game. Hopefully.
Yeah, probably a couple. Yes, I would agree.
Another feature game in Norman, Oklahoma. The Tennessee Volunteers make the trip.
Ooh, boy.
Primetime game on ABC.
As it should be. Get in price, $211. That's going to go up as the week goes along.
I like this matchup a lot.
Take the over.
Tennessee really hasn't been pressed by anybody, but they haven't exactly played a list of conference contending teams so far going into this game. Oklahoma has been much, much, much improved on defense. The offense is still a little bit of work in progress. I'm thinking this one might be one where you might need to take the over.
Take the over.
1,000 times yes.
Oh, ding, ding, ding. Take the over.
This might be what must-watch TV, though.
Georgia Southern at Ole Miss?
No.
Northern Iowa at Hawaii at 11:59.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Some other games featuring make it a 3-pack of top-ranked teams playing each other when Utah makes the trip to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. 4:00 game on Big FOX. I like this game as well for different reasons than I like the Oklahoma-Tennessee game, but both of them are going to be good.
Take the over.
Utah.
Oklahoma State's always good early in the season. Utah is Utah. They're always good no matter what time of year it is. If Cam Rising is healthy, this is going to be an interesting matchup.
I don't want to know about
a little update. He's got tetanus from a Gatorade. Last time I checked, the Gatorade jug's plastic. So how the hell that happened?
That
dude, he's got to put the Ouija board down, stop walking through graveyards, whatever he's doing to piss off the spirits that be.
Yes.
Two of your lesser-known quarterbacks between Mr. Rising and Oklahoma State's Alan Bowman, who threw for 5 touchdowns this past week. I like the matchup. This should be another game that if you're in front of a TV, you should be watching it.
Take the over.
Oh, yeah, that's a reminder to kids. Get your tetanus shot. Make sure you're up to date.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
I've never seen that on Injury Report. I'm sorry.
Here's another intriguing game for you guys. It's not one that's going to grab a whole lot of headlines, but Louisville is ranked 19th, and they are hosting a Georgia Tech team at 2-1, who, while not necessarily going to be a top 25 team, they are dangerous.
Yeah, I'm leaning Louisville right now, obviously not knowing what any kind of number exists, but still I'm leaning Louisville at 19. I think it'll probably be a good road test for Georgia Tech, although I think that by the end of this one, I think Tech ends up being a close loser. Leonard's a loser in a close one, Georgia Tech. The North Avenue slide rule jockey is going to Louisville to take on the Redbirds.
I love it.
You're correct.
For those of you who don't know who Leonard's loser are,
Google search.
yes, go look for a little bit of history there. It's something that we grew up with as college football fans early in our years.
The Redbirds and the North Avenue slide rule jockeys going at it up in the Commonwealth. Yes.
Here's a question for you, John.
Yes.
Where do you plan to be Saturday at 3:30 p.m.?
Good question. Let me double.
I'm gonna go on a limb by sitting on my ass on the couch.
Because
Could be wrong.
the Patty's favorite team, the Auburn Tigers, host the Arkansas Razorbacks in a mid-level SEC game that has a lot of intrigue in it.
Yeah.
Ring that bell behind you, John.
Yeah, I mean it's that will. I think I might be there for that one, considering that the local Major League Soccer franchise is on the road. But I got to double. I have to cross-reference other things, but I might be at that game, so we will see what happens there.
No jumbotron.
Yeah, Hank Brown was your quarterback for the Tigers this past week in their big win over New Mexico, and his history is a redshirt freshman who was the quarterback at the then Trent Dilfer-led Lipscomb Academy in suburban Nashville. So just because you put up numbers against New Mexico as a redshirt freshman don't mean you can put up the same numbers going up against a team that is looking forward to trying to have some cold beers by the end of the evening. So we will see. We will see how day 2 of the Hank Brown-led Auburn Tigers goes up against Arkansas on the Plains. I believe I will be there for that one. Don't quote
Go
me.
Big Hank.
And speaking of John's favorite,
Excuse me about Go Big Hank. What? Excuse me. Efforting. Yeah. I don't want to know about your Big Hank, sir.
Hank.
Yes, Hank.
Oh, Phil's face is slowly matching his shirt at this
There
point.
you go, big fella.
yes, indeed. We move on to one of John's other favorite teams. Could we see Florida State go 0-4 when they host the California Golden Bears at No Camel Stadium?
Let's phrase it this way: if they do, and if you do, if you do, then someone is going to look. It's going to be like Pat Hayden and Lane Kiffin on the tarmac of the airfield. Literally, someone is going to walk out when that game is over, and they're going to hand Mike Norvell an envelope, and Mike Norvell will exit the stadium in a different way than the players will. If Cal,
best of luck.
We wish you gladly take that envelope, though.
We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. This should be a game that this should be a game that you control. Get in price $52. Good luck on that.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Vacation.
That's a good double play combo and single A somewhere in the Northwoods League. But
not paying that entry fee at all.
No, and I've got to, as the week goes along, Wilkie and I'll cover this on the College Football X when it comes to football on a budget. But I want to know what the payday is for Cal to wander into Tallahassee to play that game to possibly. I mean, look.
I would be willing to say somewhere close to 7 digits.
Yeah,
wow.
And
Cal wins that. They're tearing down the goalposts and then they're chasing. But it's going to be people from Florida, and they're going to chase the coach with the bases.
They've already beat Auburn.
Yeah, well, come on now. Cal FSU payout 2024. I'm using the Google machine quickly here and seeing what the pay periods, steep price for losing to Memphis, blah, blah, blah. Fill some time with something else while I look for this payday.
Okay, we'll go down the list. Your cupcake games of the week, and I hate to say this because one of them includes my alma mater as we travel, the Georgia Southern Eagles being we, to Oxford to take on Ole Miss. That game is going to be ugly. Georgia Southern were improved. We're 2-1, playing pretty well, even with a new quarterback, but we're not going to match up with Ole Miss. And Texas hosts UL Monroe. Why?
Payday. Payday. Auburn paid New Mexico 1.9, by the way, to walk in the door.
Oh, and we forgot, we didn't talk about them in the score looking back at the week that was. Colorado finally got their first win, beating Colorado State in a rivalry game. Next week they take on Baylor, and surprisingly, that's a primetime game on Big FOX.
Well, yes, it is a prime time. It's a prime time game. Yeah, it's 28-9, and they were still throwing late in the game, but Coach Sanders admitted after the game in his post-game interview that he wanted to get Travis Hunter 100 yards receiving on the day. So that was why when you're up 19 that you were getting everything all laid out for you that way. So still trying to see the media. Well, that's the media payouts. That is not. That's media payouts. That's not individual payouts. Okay, so it was not a 7-figure payout, and it was not north of $950,000. That much I do know about the Cal payout for Florida State's upcoming game.
Tune into the X to get the final price.
Exactly.
Yes. The X coming to you in the middle of the week, the middle of the college football week. Brother John, Brother Wilkie, talking college football, latest news and notes, plus interviews with some coaches talking about what they got to do in order to get the win. Guys, it's time to move on to everybody's favorite segment, the part where we get to talk about college football on a budget.
Ding, ding, ding.
I think a place I got a diploma from is on.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we're looking at games primarily that you could get into for around $10 or a little bit less, or as Marty says, the price
less than a soda
of a large soda.
Price of a soda.
We'll start with your first discount game of the week. Villanova makes the trip to College Park, Maryland. Right now, the get price for that game, $5.
Not happening. Nope. Carry on.
I'm taking it just because Villanova took Youngstown State out of the playoffs last year, and I'd like to see them lose.
So it sounds like a grudge watch.
I'm spiteful.
Watch. It's a hate watch for $5.
I'm spiteful.
We up in the northeastern part of the United States as Utah State makes the trip to Philadelphia. At the link, you can go watch Utah State play Temple for the low price of $6.
Nope.
No. I'm taking that because I got family on Temple.
Okay. I've been to the link once. I'm pretty sure that the cost of a soda there is more than $6 too.
Oh wow. Okay.
For sure.
Right beneath it, another game featuring some directional schools. St. Francis of Pennsylvania makes the trip to Eastern Michigan.
Francis.
You want to travel up to beautiful Ypsilanti, you can get into that game for the low price of $7.
It's about what it was last week, wasn't it? Or I think it went down to 4 at some points.
That's the non-scandal ridden program.
Yes. And so if you want to see the green and gray alternating turf surface at Reinerson in Ypsilanti, you can go. But I think last week you got in for 4 closer to game day. So you might want to hold out here for St. Francis in Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, I bought that one last week, so I don't need to go see the rug.
Pass on it this time around. We moved down to a game featuring Marty's alma mater.
Ding, ding, ding.
Youngstown State makes the trip to Pitt at Creager Stadium, and I'm probably saying that incorrectly.
Acrisure. They're
Acrisure.
They're like an insurance agency or something.
Yeah. Your get-in price for that game, $8.
You know I'm buying that.
Ding.
And I believe the last time they played Pitt, they came out with a W and a lot of cash.
Ding, ding, ding. This has let down written all over it after what Pitt ended up doing in the backyard brawl. Youngstown jumps on them early. I predict chaos. Ding, ding, ding.
And it's
a lot of the kids from Youngstown, grew up in the area that they get looked over by Pitt and other bigger programs. They're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder and nothing to lose.
And it's an excuse to go get a Permanente Brothers sandwich.
Oh, yes.
Which is the only thing you'd want to do in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Indeed. Moving down the list of games, Duke makes the trip to beautiful Murfreesboro, Tennessee at Johnny Red Floyd Stadium. They take on Middle Tennessee at 4:00 on the U. Your get-in price, if you want to go in person, $7.
Only if Charger is there, because I know that there is a White Castle in town in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
It
So
is.
unless the White Castle's up and running, and unless Charger, the White Steed, is there for Middle Tennessee State, 1 for 2 ain't going to cut it for me. You got to have them both. So I'm thinking the answer.
No. The
But it
game
does
is
put-
less than a briefcase of burgers.
That's true.
And it does put you roughly 40 minutes away from Nashville.
So you can catch a game in Nashville later.
We moved down the list
Double
of
head.
games here. I'm going to go here with a $10 game because it's Monmouth traveling down to Miami to take on Florida International at everybody's favorite stadium, especially J-Dubs.
Southgate Kia Field at Pit Bull Stadium.
Woohoo!
Nah.
Not going there, not even for $10, huh?
Not even.
Not unless you're giving away bobbleheads or something.
Yeah, it's like Mr. Saturday Night, not so much. No.
Yeah,
Pip-
well,
Pitbull bobblehead, I'm there.
you can go back up the East Coast to beautiful Pratt & Whitney Stadium in East Hartford, Connecticut to see Florida Atlantic play UConn. Your get-in price there right now, $9.
No. Not happening. Nope.
Nope.
Not happening.
Ain't gonna happen.
Nope.
I say.
All right. Well, Marty, a game not too far away from where you currently reside in the beautiful Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. New Mexico State travels to Huntsville, Texas to take on Sam Houston. You're getting price at Elliott T. Bauer Stadium right now, $6.
Ding, ding, ding. I want
I'm in.
chaos. I want Bearcats and Aggies take the over in Huntsville. Absolutely. I'm in.
Defense optional is what you're saying?
Defense optional. Love it. Go for it. Absolutely.
Big 12 type game of
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. The Bearcats with a K. I mean, seriously, when you spell Bearcats with a K, and you take liberties with the English language just to be different with your logo and all of your names and things.
the
Absolutely.
South, dude.
Yes. Penn at Delaware, $9 at Delaware Stadium in Newark. Let's see. Alabama A&M and Austin P at Forterra Stadium in Clarksville, Tennessee. Get in price $9. The band at the halftime will be worth it on its own.
Ooh.
Go P.
I was initially saying no, but now I'm saying yes.
Alabama A&M's band is the ish. They are the ish. Watch them at halftime. I've already seen them this year. Their routine is unreal. That's worth the get-in price, and you get to go catch up with our friend
Tailgate till midway through the second quarter.
Right,
And
yes.
then your seat.
Brian Reeves, our buddy who's play-by-play for Austin P. $9, 7 o'clock start there as well. Texas Southern and Lamar, where you could catch up with our buddy Provost Humphrey in Beaumont. I'm taking a bit of a liberty here. Texas Southern, and I imagine Texas Southern's band will be awesome also. Texas Southern and Lamar get in price $10.
Yes. I'm in.
There you go. See, you go a little further down the row a little bit, and you can catch a flyer occasionally. And so we did exactly that by catching a couple of flyers in some very, very friendly places for us here at OSG.
Guys, what do you say we put a wrap on this week's show? I think it's time.
Well, so because you just want to go on vacation. That's what you want.
Well, yeah, that does have a little bit to do with it. If you if you tuned into the first half of the show, you got to hear about the week that was. And then here in the second half, we talked about the week ahead. That's what we do here on the review. We talk college football. We talk about results. We talk about previews. We talk about getting into games cheaply. It's a thing, guys.
Cheaply.
Can't
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing. Make sure you tune in midweek for the College Football X, where you get to hear a little bit more detail about the ins and the outs of the game from the college coaches themselves.
And we get to update you on football on a budget to see if anybody else has opened that door and prices have gotten that much better.
So for Brother Marty and Brother John, I am Brother Phil. We are part of the OSG Sports College Football team. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy your college football, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Please like and subscribe. And make sure to listen to the X.